Alright, this is part 2 of my what to expect when buying into Wiess Schwartz tutorial. So, to stay on topic of buying cards, I've seen some dishonest things for people who've been selling cards on eBay. So, there are a lot of people who, they decide, you might decide, I don't necessarily want to buy booster packs because I might not get, any cards that I actually want in them, or I might not get the right cards to play. You could buy a trial deck, but if you decide, I don't necessarily want the cards in the trial deck, you might, and you don't want to spend all the money on a booster box. You might decide, hey, let's go buy a pre-made deck from eBay. I considered this myself, and when I looked at the ready-to-play pre-made decks available on eBay, I was rather disappointed with the people. And several of the decks I looked at that were considered ready to play were a set of 50 common cards. Now, technically you can play with that, but it's kind of like trying to play a coin toss with a two-sided coin. You're not gonna win. The other reason I know that these are pretty dishonest decks is one of them was running this card. It was running 4 of them. It's what's called an uncommon card, which is actually pretty common. And what this card does is it lets you turn this card into this more powerful card. Now, the reason I say this deck is dishonest is because they were running 4 copies of this uncommon. They were running 4 copies of these commons, and absolutely none of these. Wait, the only thing this card does is turn this into this. So, why would you ever run any of these if you don't have any of these? This is just dishonest. There's no way you can justify this as a ready-to-play deck that has any chance of winning if it doesn't have the cards that work with the cards in it. You're just lying to the people who are buying this from you. So, a few ways that you can protect yourself from buying one of these decks is check and see, does the deck, does the person who, does the deck tell you how many rare, common, uncommon cards are in it? Are there any level 3 cards in it, which are indicated by a 3 in the upper left-hand corner? If there aren't any, the deck is no good. It's not really ready to play. You won't be able to win without at least one of these, usually. Well, you can, but it's very hard. Some other things to look for are how many of what are called, are there any of what are called climax cards, which are sideways like this? Any deck that's ready to play should have 8 of these, exactly. If there are more than 8 of these, the deck is illegal and you can't play it anyway, so they're totally lying. And if there are less than 8, I believe you're allowed to play it, but without 8 of these, based on the rules of the game, you're going to lose 9 times out of 10 if you play a deck without 8 climaxes. The reason being is this is the only thing that keeps you from taking damage in this game. And if you can't stop yourself from taking damage, but your opponent can, well, I think that the result's obvious. You're going to lose. So, if they don't have any grade 3s, they don't let you... Another thing to watch out for is if they don't let you see the cards clearly. So, if the cards are in a big mish pile like that, chances are they're trying to hide the fact that there are no grade 3s or climaxes in the deck. They're trying to hide that there aren't any rare or useful cards. So don't buy it. Now, there are decks that are pre-made that can be useful. However, in general, they actually tend to be more expensive than just buying packs, boxes, and the starter deck. This is because you know what you're getting. And so what they do is they just add the value of all the cards in it, the individual cards, and they oftentimes add a collector's fee, as I like to call it, which is essentially a little bit of extra money that they charge for getting all the cards together for you. So you might as well buy them all individually if you're gonna bother with a pre-made deck. Now, the reasons for sticking with a box that I like to say, or why I like to stick with box, is because, as I said in the previous video, Bushy Roads guarantees certain ratios of things. A standard pack of a standard set of cards contains 100 different varieties of cards, 12 of which are the climax cards. The Wiess Schwartz cards come in 4 colors. There's blue, and there's yellow. There are red cards, and finally there are green cards. In a set, each of the colors will have at least one grade 3. I am like a wizard at opening booster packs, so I happen to have one of each of the grade 3s from the Sword Art Online series here to show, all out of the same booster pack. Who would have guessed? Each color also has 2 double rare cards, which are, again, generally the best cards in your deck for their level. So the grade 3s aren't always the double rare cards. So sometimes, like this one's only a rare. I don't know if you can see that from YouTube quality, but this is a rare. These other 3 are double rares. And in each box you get 4 double rares, and you get 1 double rare from each color. There are 2 double rares in each color, which means you have a 50% chance of getting one of the double rare, either of the double rares in the set, which is kind of nice that a lot of them are the grade 3s, which means you have a 50% chance of having grade 3 of whatever color deck you want to build. The reason I say whatever color is because generally, based on some of the rules of the game that will be explained later, you don't want to build a deck that's 4 colors because that's very hard to play with and requires a lot of luck. Now the other thing is there are 12 climax cards per set. And amongst the climax cards, there are common climaxes, and there are rare climaxes. So these 2 are the Sword Art's 2 blue common climaxes, and this one is the rare climax. When you buy a booster box, you're guaranteed to get 2 of every common climax and 1 of every rare climax. Well, you're guaranteed that, and you need 8 to make a decent deck? Huh. Well, since there's 12, you're pretty much guaranteed to get all the climaxes you need to make a deck if you